Welcome to H2K Infosys. H2K Infosys is a e-verify business based in Atlanta, Georgia, United States. We provide 100% job-oriented, instructor-led, face-to-face, true live online software training programs. It also includes access to Cloud Test Lab with software tools. We provide live project for you to work on. We also provide assistance with mock interviews, resume preparation and review, and job placement assistance. H2K Infosys is trusted by so many students across the world. H2K Infosys provides world-class services in IT training with real-time project work for corporates and individuals, special IT training for MS students in the United States, software design, development, QA manual and automation, performance testing and maintenance, IT staff augmentation, job placement assistance, and tech support.
I think I should have the Java version of it. So folks, when you learn things, also you think like, some extent, you can start looking into these classes also. Maybe this is early for many, this might be early for many of you, but then you can see what's exactly happening in this constructor, You can click on it and see what is exactly done in this Untitled constructor. But if they have classes, finally, everything boils down to their code, right? Even they write, even the code that's written by Java people, the APIs, like classes or interfaces, they're just the classes at the end of the day, and you can, see to understand what is exactly happening inside. Here, when we are reading a line, the and is, if we don't have any more lines, it returns null. That's how this read line method is implemented. If it doesn't have any more lines to read, it returns as null. Folks, and we have already seen the buffer reader and writer. What is a buffer? What in general, what is a buffer?
It's a memory area.
Yes, it's a memory area, right? Why do you use buffers? Usually, in general, don't forget about buffer streams or input-output streams. What is the concept of buffering? What is a buffer in general?
For efficiency. It's a temporary
It's a temporary storage of data.
Keep it in the buffer and you can put it somewhere. You can flush it, right? You can put it, right?
Yeah.
See, I know for that we have the buffer, in that specific scenarios, we use a buffer reader and writer. We can play around objects, like, reading an object, writing an object, with all, with these buffer readers and writers. And when we, append the content to the buffer reader, and if you want to put it to a file, or merge it, we use the flush method to do that. We have the flush method, to flush it. And as I said, we can read objects or write objects. So we have the write object method, and we have the read object method to read objects. So when we try to read an object...
Sorry, Neha, what is the function of flush method? Sorry, I'm interrupting you, but...
Okay, see, flush method is used on an output stream object, right? Unless we buffer it, it doesn't go and write to the file. When we flush it, that's when it goes. And, flushes the content from the buffer to the output stream. We do it on an input stream. There's no point in flushing to an input stream, right? We do it on an output stream. Maybe my words are confused. We don't do it on an input stream. There's no point. It doesn't make sense, right? Flushing an input stream. You're just reading it. There is nothing you want to put it back to it, right? But we do it in an output stream.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
So we have the, APIs that we could operate on objects as well. And the most important thing is file in Java. What is a file? The file in Java is treated as a file object. We have a class file that's already returned by the Java people to deal with file. So this file, it deals with the directory also. So when you give a path of a directory, and if you create a file object, it does work. And we have an isDirectory method which tells you if it is a directory or not. So if you're using any files, a file is nothing but a file object. It can represent a file and it can represent a directory also. So this class is used for creation of the files, directories, searching files, deletion of the files. And with this, you have some methods. What are the methods that you see or present in the file class, which means they're going to be used on a file object. If you just want to, yeah.
I have one question. Why these classes and a number of classes I saw, they are implementing serializable, and always like in collections they are implementing serializable. And I'm not saying like what's the use of that. I'm trying to say why always we are doing this serializable.
Yes. See, there is. Okay. So what is serialization? Serialization is the process of writing the state of an object. The process of writing the state of an object is called as serialization. So, if you want to serialize an object, if you want to write the state of an object, that specific class has to implement the serializable interface in Java. Serializable interface is the marker interface. We call it as a marker interfaces or the interfaces that doesn't have any methods to implement, but the implementation of that interface, it is to a specific functionality. In the case of a serializable interface, when a class is implementing the serializable interface, that specific class object can be serialized, which means that specific class object state can be stored, can be written into a file or to a disk. It can be saved. It can save the state of an object. Are you clear?
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with that one, but what I'm trying to ask is, like other classes don't have this serializable. Like,
if you don't want to write the state of the object, or you don't have the usage of doing it, you don't implement the serializable interface.
So for a file or in collection, like collections implement serializable and clonable.
Yes, many scenarios the collections are needed to, you want to dump it to a file, the collections content, or you want to store it somewhere. That can be done only if they are serializable, right? The necessity, if you think there is a necessity of, there might be a need of saving these objects or storing the state of these objects, that class implements the serializable interface.
Yeah, but we are not, they are Java, like...
Even in general, when you go to projects, when we write domain objects, we implement the serializable interface. Manoj, tell me what's your question instead of me going ahead and explaining. What's your exact question?
I know what's the significance of serializable. I know that one, but what I'm trying to ask is, I see number of APIs in Java, like collections, they implement serializable.
The Java people, when they're writing the code, they thought of the necessity of saving the state of these objects. Whenever they thought the specific object might needs to get stored somewhere, or we want to save the state of the specific class object, they have made those classes implement the serializable. That's what we do in our coding also. If you think if we are writing a business layer class, we don't say implement serializable because we never store the state of an Vivo class, a business object class. But when we are writing domain classes, we want to store, there might be scenarios wherein we need to store the state of an object. Those specific classes, we implement the serializable interface as well. So that's what makes anyone to decide whether you want to implement serializable interface or not.
So if you are implementing this serializable, that means it's not going to flush by a garbage collector, right?
Not really. If you have an object, if it doesn't have any references, it can be garbage collected, right? That's nothing to do with the serializable interface.
I think I messed up something. You said the state of object, right?
What is the state of an object? State is nothing but the variables present in an object, right?
Okay. Yeah.
When we say saving the state, what is state of an object? Variables represent the state of an object and methods represent the behavior, right?
Yeah, that's right. Okay, yeah, I'm getting it now.
No, that's okay. You could ask me,
No, I think I was sleeping sometime before. I didn't attend 2-3 classes last, so I don't know what exactly. Yeah.
You could ask me whatever doubts you have in future of the class,
And how is this converted into serializable? I mean, does it like automatically?
Yes, the Java internally does take care of it.
Okay, so no, I want to store the state of some object. So how do I do it so that I can have it later?
Could you please repeat your question? You want to save the state of an object?
How do I do it? Like, okay, let's say this implements serializable, but let's say which means that this particular means all the objects created from this particular class are eligible for being
serialization. Can be serialized.
Yeah, can be serialized. So, and how do I actually serialize it? Like, what is the method? Is there a method that serializes it, or like, how do I do it?
See, we are trying to write it here, right? We are writing the state of an object. It is nothing but we are serializing this right here, right? We are writing this object. We're trying to write this object to an output stream. Isn't it what we call it as a serialization? This is what is serialization.
Oh, so that's why this file implements, serializable, and then we can. So, if I want to write an object, that means that class should implement serializable. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yes. If you're trying to write, the contents, it has to implement the serializable interface. No, tell me your exact question. I don't seem, you don't seem to be convinced actually.
So it's like I want to serialize the object. Basically, I want to. It's like a memento pattern what we use in serialization. So I want to save the state of object, and what I'm trying to ask is I have a class like XYZ, and I'm creating an object of that one. Now I want to save a state of that object. That means this XYZ class should implement the serialization.
Yeah, use an object input stream class and write.
Yeah, if I'm using that one, object input, object output stream, do I need to implement serializable on that class?
The specific class is, the specific class has to implement the serializable.
That specific class should implement serializable, right?
Yes.
If I want to use object input and object output.
You're saying if you ever want to use it in an object, see, when you're giving to an object input stream, right? We give a file. We don't, or we can read an object also. Yes. Here in an object stream, This is what you're asking, right? Let's say I have an object in the stream, right? This is object in the stream. We have to create any of the input stream classes and provide it. We have the file input stream. So let's say I create a new, I think there is a extension method, extension file that we need to provide it here, I guess. I mean, there should be some serializable, let's say, XSX serializable file that we do it.
So for that one, we need to output something, right? I mean, if you say access.serialize.ser, that means we are writing something in that file first.
We are reading it right now. We are currently reading it.
No, my question is, like, if I'm writing this exit.serialize.ser, that means I need to do object output stream, right? So what, I mean, if I'm trying to write that object, whatever class it is, I need to implement serializable for that?
Yep. You're doing an object output stream. That's what you're trying to ask,
Yeah.
right?
Now here, the file is already implementing serializable, right? That means that can be used like this, like
Exactly, because if you see these classes, they have already implemented the serializable interfaces.
Okay, so now I have a class like list. Yes, I can see over here. If I want to write the state of that object, list is also, I think it's implementing serializable. You have so many custom class, XYZ, you can create, have some variables.
First, let's say we have to, this one, it takes a file object or stream. Let's see, so what can I do with this? I can read this object and I can put into this. So, yeah, now what's your question, tell me?
Okay, so we're creating output.serialize, right? .ser. Now,
let me see what are the things that we do. We can write it, we can write bytes, and we can, I think we should have a write object also.
Yeah, so
to write an object, we should have an object, right? So that specific object we have to.
So do we have any custom class we can put in this one? Or object of some class?
See, this object should come from the serializable, in a file wherein we are trying to read the object.
Just forget about this exit.ser. We're trying to write the object first and then try to retrieve it.
You have a string object, right?
Okay, then.
Your question is basically, does the string class is implementing the serializable interface?
That's right.
It is implementing the serializable interface.
So what I'm trying to say, if I have a custom class, like I have XYZ, if I want to write it as an object output stream, or I want to put that object like a moment of pattern, do I need to implement serializable each time?
You have a user-defined class right here, right?
Yeah.
I see. So here you are going to create a core object. And here you want to put a core object, right?
Yeah.
So you notice what happens if I try to run this. You get this? Not serializable exception.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was asking.
Yes, they have to be serialized. They have to implement the serializable interface.
It should be a compile time exception, isn't it?
It's a runtime exception.
It is runtime, but I think this can be caught at the compile time also, because the compiler gets...
Because when you have a file, you can understand if it is serializable or not. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it makes sense to check it if it is implementing serializable interface, right?
Yeah.
The same happens with class also, right? It takes an object, so there is no possibility that it checks. When you see object, it takes object, which is superclass of all the classes, so it doesn't check anything right there. Manoj, I wish you should be convinced now, or
Yeah. No, I was reading collections. Okay. Yesterday.
Okay, I understand. I completely understand. The anxiety of a newbie.
And it's like, it's very convoluted. If you try to read collections from book, it's very convoluted. If you try to see like from where this iterator is coming and all the stuff is coming, I was stuck between this serializable. So that's why I was asking.
I understand. Everyone understood it. Not only Manoj.
Yes.
And one more thing about serializable, like if you say implement serializable, then actually there is no method that you actually have to implement.
Exactly. That's what we call them as marker interfaces. Serializable, the word that we use, like marker interface.
While we are creating beans, we are always using this thing as serializable. Is that right?
See, if the class object, let's say I have a car object, I'm dealing with it, I want to store it. But for example, let's say I have a class, a business layer class, which just, does some business validation, and the methods inside it, they do the business validation, and it calls the data access to put them in database or get them from the database. So we're not going to write the Devo object, right? So we don't have the classes implement serializable interface.
Yeah, that's right.
Are you convinced, Manoj?
Yeah, yes.
You should say yes. So, folks, for everyone, not only Manoj, at least what I feel is, when I think I don't understand something, just do it. I just want to check if this or not, if it works or not. Okay, let's see, create an object of stream. And, and see how exactly it works. When you have a doubt on if you can do it or not, just do it and see in code.
Serializable is a pre-existing class.
Interface. Pre-existing interface. Yes.
Instead of the C, if I use a S there, it should work logically. It should not throw any error.
I'm sorry, Uday. Could you please repeat your question, Uday?
Yeah, O dot write object, you have put the C as the parameter. Instead of C, if I put S, logically it should work because string
implements the serializable interface, right?
Yeah.
We have just seen that string implements the serializable interface. Let me control. And if you see, you see the .str file that got created over here, right?
So if I'm transferring this output, sorry.
Yeah, tell me.
So if I'm transferring this output.ser to other machine and I have APIs to access it, I can use that one, right?
Yes, you can use it and you can read it and finally, and you can convert it into an object. You can do that. That's specific, This is what, right? You can use an object input stream and read it. You can do all that from the file that you have created. See, when we are storing it, we obviously store it that we want to get it back, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And So file is a class, and let's say I'm creating an object of the file by specifying the file name, and I'm trying to write it. I can use a buffer writer, and I can write, this is a file, and then I have created a buffer writer. This buffer writer, what it does, it is writing to a file, right? We have seen different writers, and we have a file writer. When you create a buffer writer using file writer, it actually writes to the file. So we have created an example of txt, and we have created a buffer writer to write to the file. This is how we created a buffer writer to write to the file, and we are writing to this file. And folks, we have different methods as we are discussing here, right? We can get the name of the file or directory. We can get the name of the file or directory. We can we can see if this file is, we can able to read it or not, we can write it or not, and we can see if the directory or the file that we're giving in the path exists. And we have the isDirectory method to return if it is a directory or a file. So folks, we have seen that a Java file class represents the file as well as the directory also. So we can give a directory name and create a file object. And if you call isDirectory method on that, it tells you if it is a directory, or it's a file. If it is a directory, it returns you true, the isDirectory. And if you use the delete method on the specific object, it deletes the file or directory, denoted by the abstract name. So when we say delete on exit, when the virtual machine terminates, or when we stop the Java, or when we kill the Java process, it deletes the specific file on exit. And we have the list files. If we have a directory, we can say list files, so that it returns a file object. It returns an array of file objects. And if you want to create a directory, we use the mkDirectory method. If you want to rename the file, so there are certain kind of methods that are present in the file class which can be used to do operations. So how do we know what are the methods? I'm just reiterating it. I can check this. Okay, I want to check if it is a directory or not. So I just go on to say, if I have a method, that have it. And then I see, I want to create a file in a directory. I'll just see each method. So I have here create new file, right? It says when I do this, it automatically creates a new empty file, right? If you want to delete it, that's how you go and see what can be done on a file object. That's highly available, the input-output string, folks. Folks, I request you to finish the assignment, to do it on your own, whatever I have given. I'm just explaining it for the new people. Like, I'm sure that, every one of you has listened to this, but it is this. This is not very easy, at the same time not very complex also. I have given this because it checks you're using the operators. It checks, using the flow control like if or else, and it uses loops also. That's the reason I have given this assignment. So you have a number, an integer, I is equal to 6, and you have a string. Let's say which is we call it as a range, and the range is like it tells you 1 to 7. Means it includes everything between 1 and 7 also. And then if it's 78, this is also included in the range. The assignment that I gave is to check if this integer is present in this range. That's the assignment. Folks, please try it. It doesn't take much time for me to explain it, but still, even though you don't finish it, I want you to give time to do it. We'll discuss it on Friday. This assignment, we'll discuss it on Friday. Folks, any other doubts?
What are you teaching tomorrow?
The SQL basics. SQL. Folks, but everyone, any Java developer, we cannot say we are Java developers and we don't know about database. Dealing with the database or, interacting with the database is the part and parcel of a Java developer role. So we, as Java developers, have to know SQL. At least the basic concepts, selecting, updating, deleting, using defense, aggregate functions, classes. We have to know SQL as well. Because a Java application connects to a database, you have to insert data into the database, get data from it, right? So folks, any doubts? Folks, tomorrow we'll be discussing about the basic SQL.
Neha, I have one doubt in collection. Yeah. You told me about vector class in yesterday class. So in that you told that vector collection is a synchronized collection, right?
Vector has synchronized methods.
Yeah, vector has synchronized methods. So what do you mean by synchronized in vector? We use
the methods are synchronized. We discussed what is a synchronized method, right?
Yeah.
What is a synchronized method?
We discuss in multi-threading in that if we use synchronized keyword, then it will allow only one thread at a time, right?
Yes. So the methods, when people who have returned the vector class, they have made the methods inside vector as synchronized.
Sorry, I didn't get you.
The people, when writing the vector class, they have made the methods in vector class as synchronized.
So means that method is written only one time?
No, that method can be executed by only one thread at a time.
One thread at a time. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
When it's doing that way, the performance is obviously slower, right? We have to synchronize code only when needed. Unnecessary synchronization leads to performance issues.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
No problem. Okay, any other doubts? Okay, folks, let's call it a day and we'll meet tomorrow at 9 p.m. EST. Thanks everyone for attending the class. Good night, everyone.
Thanks. Good night.
So many of our students have given testimonials on how our training programs are. You will find them on kudzu.com and on our website H2KInfosys.com. On our website H2KInfosys.com, you will also find more detailed information on who we are, the courses that we offer, what each course covers. Also, if you're interested in a demo program, please register on our homepage on the left-hand side. Just give us more information about yourself and we will send you a link for a demo class. The demo class is absolutely free. Experience our commitment by just attending an orientation workshop at no cost. Our team of faculty and advisors are here to guide you with the right information. If you still have more questions, please feel free to call us. Call us at 770-777-1269. This is a United States number. If you're calling from the UK, call us at 020-337-17615. You can also email us at training@h2kinfosys.com or h2kinfosys@gmail.com. Thank you for watching our videos. We wish you a great career in information technology.